like here's kids. I don't know if we have any kids watching, but kids,
I fucking hope not.
young people, younger generations, your Gen Zs, your Gen Alphas. God, I hope there's no Gen Alphas
What the
watching.
hell's Gen Alpha?
They're the new teenagers. They're the ones that are just entering voting age right now.
Oh, I thought those were Zillennials.
I've never heard Zillennial before.
Oh, I don't. I didn't know I was a millennial. I didn't until like years after that decision was made.
I keep getting swapped around. It seems like because like I've
Well,
always
there's like
considered
a pocket generation for my or for like mine. Is
yeah,
that what's
I've
going
always
on with you?
considered myself Gen X because I remember I was a teenager when the phrase Generation X was coined, speaking directly about me. So I always assumed I've
That
always
would
kind of,
make sense.
but I've heard like when people actually like mark out the dates of like okay, the people born between these years are this generation, born between these years are this generation. They're constantly changing whether or not I am Gen X or just a quote unquote elder millennial. But
Yeah,
I've
there's
always identified
something
as Gen X because I
there.
was there when Generation X was
You're
coined.
in the exact same window that I'm in. You're just
Mm,
on the older
far end
part
of
of
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's the we grew up with cell phones, without cell phones. We grew up with high tech video games, without high tech video games. We grew up in both eras, and we
Mm,
actually grew up in both eras.
yeah.
Generation X, they grew up. They don't have all the technical skills and stuff that we do because we grew up in that era. But we don't have the sheer, like, just epic capabilities that that a lot of millennials have because they. I mean, fuck, dude. I didn't get a cell phone until I was a junior in high school, which was pretty dope.
I
Like there were a lot of people who had them
yeah.
basically.
I didn't get my first cell phone until I was in my 20s.
But see, like when I had a cell phone, like, but
I was
that
two
was
I
like the
was 2
same year
years in.
though,
Yeah, I was 2 years into my marriage when I got my first cell phone.
which would basically be when I like that's basically the same year that I got my cell phone too. Like
Yeah.
it happened at the same time, pretty much, I would
Yeah.
think. But
Sounds right. Yeah.
in a very short time, like I had a Kyocera Ghost, and then I joined the military, and then when I came back from my first deployment, my buddy had a freaking smartphone.
Yeah.
Like this shit happened quick.
It did. It really did.
Like people like that's the thing. Like a lot of millennials, a lot of younger millennials, they and definitely Zillennials or Gen Alpha, whatever it is, they do. They can't. They cannot understand how fast that happened.
Yeah.
Like there's no way. Like what the hell could ever happen again to make that big of a change? That was like that. Like we grew up going, imagine this. What about in the future? All of this, and then three
Right.
years later, we were in that future.
Right.
Now
Well,
all
you
the
you
kids that
take
are
a look.
talking about what if, imagine this, and all that stuff,
Well, it's like
no, because they're. Oh, go ahead.
you take a look at like the science fiction movies that came out even as late as like the late 90s. Cell phone technology is not even considered in that. Like people are still looking for phone booths in those movies. They are high tech
Dude, the movie
video phone
Phone
booth.
Booth came out after the year 2000.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but that wasn't a
Was
sci-fi. I'm talking about
oh,
sci-fi
sorry, sorry,
movies.
sorry. Yeah.
Sci-fi movies that were even where they showed this vision of the future. Like you take
Mm.
a look at the original. What is it? Total Recall. The original Total Recall had video phones, and that was their big like prediction of the future. But everyone still had to go find like an
A phone
installation
booth,
of the
right?
video phone. Yeah, a phone booth for it. There were no.
They couldn't
There was no.
imagine wireless.
No. And like all the super hackers and all of the cyberpunk movies from the 80s and 90s, they all had to go to the building to hack into it physically. There was no getting on the internet and dialing in.
Oh,
Like,
I remember the like in Hackers when they all line up in that like row of phone booths.
yep.
That's right. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so I mean that's the thing is like that stuff happened so quickly that we literally didn't even see it coming. It happened so fast. They
Mm-mm.
were even in denial. Like it happened so fast that they were treating it like a fad that even once uh, um, cell
That
phones
happened to
became
me.
When even
What?
once cell phones became prolific, you wouldn't see them in TV shows or movies for like another 5 years because the people writing the shows were like, well, these things might disappear or or something within a couple of years. I don't want to date the show by putting a cell phone in it that's no one's going to know what it is in 10 years.
I didn't think about that. No, when I was saying, like when I got back from my deployment and I saw a smartphone, I didn't get one for years because I didn't really like I never actually sat down and I never used one. I never used anybody's. I never tested them out. I had my Razor, and I liked my
Right.
Razor, and it only cost me $19 a month because I didn't have to change over to a smartphone plan, so I was locked in on my contract
Right.
basically until I met you guys.
Okay. Yeah.
That's how long
That
I
makes
had
sense.
my flip phone.
I think.
And also why I was
Yeah. You know what?
freaking out when I got that smartphone that I got at the gallery.
I think, yeah, by the time when I met you, I think I had my first smartphone. I think I'd only had it for like 2 years at that point.
I think that was the year I got my first smartphone. No, it was the year I got my first smartphone because all of the acting gigs and stuff like that that I was submitting for, I
Hmm.
had to go through a weird flip phone browser to use or
Oh, the
to
flip
submit
phone
for all
browsers. I
those.
remember those. Those were amazing.
Oh my god, it was horrible. So when I got that smartphone, I was like, "Yeah, I'm submitting for fucking everything, man," because it was so easy.